Packaging is one of the biggest challenges that we face, maybe the biggest challenge that we face. The modern components, engine, driveline, chassis, is larger than they were back in the 1960s. And you have an engine with 32 valves and 4 cams versus 16 valves and 1 cam. You've got a transmission, 10-speed automatic, when the old one was a 3-speed automatic. I mean, those extra gears take up space. You have a physically larger transmission. The engine's twice as powerful. It needs a larger exhaust system. So everything is bigger, but the space that we're working with is the same. That's packaging, getting everything to fit, and it has to work properly. It can't be exposed to excessive heat. It can't be too close to things that it shouldn't be close to.
Every time you change one thing in the engine bay, everything else has to change with it. It's never just like one thing happens in isolation. It's always, there's a cascade effect. If I move one component, then everything else has to wiggle around a little bit to fit with that. If I have to change one part, now all of my brackets might have to change. I basically cut those brackets off and then redesign all of these brackets to put in its place. So all the gray that you see here essentially fastens to where the old AC components used to be. And it essentially just moves the AC condenser up and then allows room for the transmission cooler and the oil cooler to fit in between it. As you can see, I had to go through, at least 3 iterations of each, if not more.
There's a lot of stuff that's going under the hood that didn't exist on the, particularly on the Boss 429. So that car didn't have air conditioning. It didn't have power brakes. It obviously didn't have a PCM, a powertrain control module, or any of the electronic components that are needed to run this modern engine. So we had to find space for all of that stuff. It also needed a much larger cooling system because you have a more powerful engine, requires more cooling. So all of that stuff really made the packaging a real challenge, which was really great to be able to do that in CAD, because we could do a lot of exploration digitally without actually, turning a wrench. And that really helped us to save time. And when we did go to the prototype phase, we had something that was very close to production ready.
It's been a headache trying to package a lot of these OEM parts, but it's worth it because, like I said, reliability, durability, and sourcing. We'll always be able to get hold of these parts.
We have a part that interfaces with the top of it, so this would go inside of it. That fits in there. A hose goes on that part. So that's that piece right there.
So this was our most promising degas bottle for the longest time. We had a lot of issues trying to figure out packaging for a degas bottle.
That was kind of the last piece of the puzzle for about a month of those 4 months, was that one bottle, because every time I would manage to get it to fit, some other extreme thing had to be changed. Like at one point, the smallest, it was a size constraint. They're big usually, and all the small ones are race spec, like really high-end stuff that's really unique and one-off and difficult to find. Again, we're trying to stay OEM. There was just a lot of back and forth of like which one's gonna fit, which one's not. It was never always in the same spot. Like maybe I could fit it wherever on this side of the engine bay, or I could fit it on this side, or I could fit it in the fender well, or I could fit it up next to the hood. Every new bottle had 15 different places that I'd have to test to fit it, and in 15 different orientations of that same bottle. A lot of, just wiggling things around in CAD and trying to figure out which one made the most sense.
Miles is one of our CAD wizards. He's done some really amazing things. The engine bay packaging, is a great example. A lot of iteration, optimization.
There were months before I ever actually even touched the engine bay where I was able to take all the components and put them in there digitally. Anything that we had CAD of from a manufacturer, I threw it in there. Anything that we didn't, I 3D scanned and made into CAD, and was able to actually kind of verify whether or not those things fit in conjunction with each other and adjust before I ever actually printed a physical part. The thermal management, I would say, was one that I was the most focused on, because if a car gets too hot, it doesn't perform well, sometimes not at all. But in our case, we wanted to prevent it limiting the performance. In addition to that, serviceability is a really big one, being able to actually access the components. A lot of mechanics, they'll curse the engineers for designing things in a specific way to where you can't actually maintain it. I try not to be that engineer, but when you're putting a V8 into something that was designed for a much smaller engine, it's a little difficult. So there's compromises that have to be made, but it's just a synergy of keeping the car cool, like temperature wise, keeping the car cool aesthetically, if at all possible, keeping it serviceable, and then also making it efficient for manufacturing is another thing. So in addition to being able to fix components, it's how difficult are they to install the first time when we're actually building the car? And does that order of operations make it difficult for someone to replace in maintenance?
So the Boss 429 was all about the engine. So the choice of engine for the Revology Boss 429 was a very important decision. So we went with the supercharged Coyote 5-liter engine. And the reason we went with this engine is because it makes big power, 710 horsepower. It makes big torque, 610 pounds-feet. But it also gives you modern drivability and reliability. And that's really important because our clients drive their cars. These are not garage queens, these are cars people drive, that you need to be able to get in it, go cross country and not worry about anything. And that's why a modern powertrain is the best solution. Our philosophy with regards to the functional aspect of the vehicle is make it serviceable. Yes, it's a show-winning car, but that's not what it's built for. It's built to drive. And so when it comes to the engine bay, the underbody, all the kind of functional and serviceable aspects of the car, it's really important that you can access all the components that you need, that they're easy to service, that it doesn't take a ridiculous amount of time to take things apart. So, you know, it's a philosophy much more similar to that of an OEM than that of a custom car builder. All of the engineers had to work very closely together with one another. They had to coordinate very closely together. It's really much easier to do that in CAD. Everyone has access to the same environment.
I didn't think about it when I was like, yeah, I'll take the engine bay, that's fine. That's a really complicated system, and it has a lot of other subsystems, and it interacts with literally every other system in the car. It was a lot to deal with as far as just the complexity and intricacy of it interrelating with other systems of the car and other people's responsibility in the vehicle. It's the first big project that I've worked on that involves like the whole engineering team working in conjunction with each other.
I mean, it would have taken years to do that the old way, but designing it in CAD, iterating, using rapid prototyping, and then coming up with the optimized solution quickly allowed us to have this, you know, exceptionally well engineered package in the engine bay that we really couldn't have done otherwise.